This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution once again. I am here today in the company of none other than winemaker for Creekside, Mr. Rob Power. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing very well, Jamie. How about yourself?
I'm good today. So tell us how this ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has impacted not only the goings on at Creekside, but also for you personally.
Uh, well, let's start with personal.
Right.
You know, my wife and I are both still working, so it's very much business as usual, 9 to 5. We
Hmm.
both get up in the morning, we both get in our cars and go off to work, and then we come home at night and we never see anybody and
Right.
never
Okay.
socialize or anything like that. And that's what a good 3 months and counting, something like that.
Right.
Um, Work-wise, when the initial pandemic hit, we decided that we were going to pare down our staff pretty hard because we
Hmm.
didn't know how we could do it in terms of safe distancing. And let's face it, in mid-March, we really didn't know what we were heading into with this thing, right? How serious it was going to be. So we
Hmm.
kind of battened down the hatches and prepared for a long, hard slog. The other great unknown that all of us in the industry were facing is what was going to happen, right? Like in the case of Creekside, licensee direct delivery is a good third of our business,
Right.
right? And the retail shop is another maybe 20 to 25%. So, right away you've lost 50% of your business, 50% of your revenue base. And nobody knew what was going to happen with the LCBOs, if they were even be able to stay open. And
Yeah.
we have wine and grocery store. Basically, we just had no idea what was going to go down. And what ended up going down is we've actually had very strong sales all the way through, and it's the direct to consumer and curbside pickup thing,
Okay.
mostly
Okay.
shipping things out by a courier. And it seems to me there's been a big paradigm shift. There's a certain generation out there that are very used to buying things online,
Yeah.
but they weren't necessarily wine drinkers. And I know for a fact that we have a database, and a lot of the people that are ordering online for delivery are customers that we've never had before, right?
Right.
So it's just been a real change in the way we do business, an extreme change from you know personal contact with our customers, be it through licensees or retail, to completely Amazon.ca for wine, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an interesting shift to see how people's shopping habits have changed entirely. And I really do feel that the genie is out of the bottle with regards to retail wine sales now, because I don't understand how things could go back to the way they were before.
Well, exactly. That
Yeah.
now that they've finally ended the silly law that said that the consignment wines from international couldn't go bottle by bottle; they had
Yeah.
to go case by case. Now they've broken that. You can't. It's
You can't go back on that now. Right?
once the genie's out of the bottle, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So,
And I do
so
quite like, despite the fact I'm not in Toronto right now, I do like this idea of suddenly all of these restaurants becoming private bottle shops.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just the whole. It might be the way we look at it 5 years from now is that COVID-19 was what it took to finally take Ontario out of bloody prohibition, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Might be the way we look
yeah.
at it. This is what it took for us to finally rationalize our
Liquor
liquor laws.
sales, yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
at the winery itself, you're down to a skeleton crew. Are you managing to get everything done in the vineyards and in the winery right now?
Yeah, we're okay. But in terms of the vineyard, there are some operations bring in crews from offshore,
Right.
that like they bring in guys from Mexico
Yeah.
or Jamaica and house them, and then that's their vineyard crew. We're under a different model here where all our vineyard workers, the crews come in from Hamilton, mostly Hamilton and
Really?
Grimsby,
Okay.
and they're landed immigrants or Canadian citizens. So that it didn't really affect our vineyard operation at all. In terms of the winery itself, it's been kind of interesting for me because, you know, you go from the model where you write a work order and then move on to a spreadsheet or something like that. So
Yeah.
you write the work order and then you walk downstairs and you execute the work order.
Right.
So it's been nice for me in that way, in that it's gotten me a little bit back more in contact with some basic winemaking, which has been very enjoyable. But then on the other hand, as a 59-year-old, I can assure you that my hands are arthritically horrible at the
Oh
moment.
dear. Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
And how have you been dealing with the haircut situation?
Well, you tell me, Jamie. What do you think?
I think
Is
it's
it too long? Is it too
no,
long?
no, no. I think it's definitely
I
a
think it might be a bit too long.
no. Well, I'm the other way. I don't actually really want to show the. I went the whole hog and shaved it all off for the very first
Yeah,
time
perfect.
since. Actually, I think it was my mid-20s was the last time. My wife was not too thrilled with that.
You know, when it's like a playoff beard for
Right?
hockey,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So
I
I'll
can,
cut it when everything's over. But meantime, it's
no,
not like I have a simmering social life where
right,
I'm
right,
going out in a tux and people are laughing at me.
right. You were mentioning earlier about the future of your kind of cellar door tasting room and where you think that will be going.
Uh, no one knows what that looks like when we reopen. You
Mhm.
know, the old model where, you know, you could just belly up to the bar,
Right.
if you will. You know, the old model where you come in and try something, and if you like it, great, buy a bottle. If you don't, you know, move on. That is pretty much gone. I don't know. I've heard all kinds of different models where people bring their own glasses.
Yeah.
You know, there's some talk that you're not going to be able to allow people to spit, which is rather problematic in
Yeah,
terms of
in many ways.
driving and length of tastings. I think the way it's going to go is that, you know, there have always been some wineries that gravitated towards a full sit down flighted tasting with a server, if you will,
Like
like
a
a
much more
personal
formal
server.
formal tasting. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the only model that we're going to be able to do, because you're going to have to social distance everybody anyway. So they're going to have to be out at tables, and then we'll assign a server. And I don't know what we do with glasses, but we'll just have to figure it out. The interesting thing is, it seems to me that the market, in conjunction with COVID and the whole online delivery thing, people are thinking more local now. So we
Yep.
probably picked up some customers that we didn't have before, because they broke the bad habit of going and buying Pinot Grigio X from Veneto in Italy. They say, well, maybe we'll give a local one a try. And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, it's good. So in conjunction to that, we're seeing more people, because they just don't want to go out as much, are buying cases.
Yeah.
So whereas the old retail model was try something, buy a bottle, come back tomorrow, maybe buy another one, people are more focused. And the way we're going to have to stage tastings is going to necessarily be more focused as well. So that's I don't know how things come out the other side of that, but I think that's the platform that we're looking at, is a more intimate, personal, extended tasting experience.
Interesting. And there's been no guidance from the government yet as to how this should happen with the tasting rooms.
No, not that I'm aware of. It's not really my purview, but
Right.
there are a lot of proactive committees within the industry. Like everybody here is talking to each other and trying to figure out the best way forward. So my guess is that that's the way it'll go. Our own marketing organizations will tell the government what we think we're going to do,
Right.
and they'll say if they think it's safe or not. Yeah. But,
Speaking of the government, are you happy with the way our provincial and federal governments have handled this pandemic?
well, I guess overall I'd have to say yes, in
Mhm.
that you know, so many people were thrown out of work summarily and instantaneously. I have a long resume in Toronto restaurant industry, as do
Yeah.
you, right? And all of the people that had, a horrendously expensive apartment and were used to having piles of money coming in
Yeah.
to support that lifestyle, they all went, you know.
Just like that.
So I thought the government reacted extraordinarily well in um, figuring out a way to get money into people's hands very quickly. It's a bureaucratic nightmare, and there are all kinds of horror stories of people falling through the cracks.
Yeah.
But I think that's to be expected in a crisis of this magnitude.
Hmm.
Yeah, in terms of what they've done, what the government has done with our industry, I think we all had to shut down until we could figure out how bad this thing was going to be. And now the opening up phases are going to be necessarily slow and careful. So apparently there's been some serious pushback to the provincial government that the Niagara wineries were not included in phase two and things like that. And I'm like, I don't think our customers are ready to come down and
Yeah. I'm
go
with you on that.
wine touring anyways. So let's just all breathe a little bit and take it slow. And one of the things that I love, like that I'm hearing in directives from everyone about opening up is be patient, be kind.
Hmm.
And I think that has to be included when we think about the people that are trying to regulate this mess safely.
Yeah.
We need to be patient and kind with the government too. So I guess that's my take on it.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I think pushing things too fast is a recipe for disaster right now because there are, or could be, because there are so many unknowns with regards to this contagion.
Yeah. The big elephant in the room being the asymptomatic carriers,
Yeah,
right?
of course, yeah,
But theoretically responsible people, if they're starting to feel it, are going to self-isolate.
of course, yeah,
But for all we know, for all you and I know, one of us could be walking around with it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, on a final brighter note, what has been the most positive aspect of this COVID-19 lockdown for you?
Um, maybe just on a personal level, a breaking of some bad habits
Hmm.
and a breaking of some mindsets, and that old thing that your grandmother used to say, count your blessings.
Yeah,
I have noticed myself being a little bit better in that way, and just paying a little bit more attention to what matters and understanding a little bit what doesn't matter and things like that. I think it's forced all of us as a society and individuals to recenter ourselves a little
yeah.
bit. And yeah,
That's eloquent enough. That makes sense to me.
yeah.
Rob Power, thank you very much for joining us today at Good Food Revolution. Maybe we'll catch up in a couple of months and see how you're getting on down there.
Well, I look forward to having a socially distant glass with you as soon as possible.
That would be fun. Take care for now.
Okay.
Bye now.
Cheers. Bye.